Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Ancient Epics, the place where the greatest stories of humanity come back to life. Beneath the burning sands of Egypt lies a truth that once slept in darkness for thousands of years, a truth so powerful that when it emerged, it shattered centuries of misunderstanding. For generations, Egypt was seen through a veil of legend alone, imagined as a land of static gods and unchanging rituals, frozen in time like its own monuments. Yet the soil itself concealed evidence that told a far deeper and more human story. Entire cities lay buried beneath drifting dunes. Names of kings erased by rivals waited patiently for breath again. Tombs sealed since the age of pyramids held whispers of daily life, scientific precision, and political struggle. Each excavation became an act of awakening, not only of stone and bone, but of memory itself. What emerged was not merely a civilization of temples and pharaohs, but a complex society shaped by laborers, scribes, astronomers, architects, and families who lived and died along the rhythms of the Nile. The sands that once concealed these truths did not simply hide ruins. They preserved revelations capable of overturning long-held beliefs. From a single carved stone that unlocked a lost language to royal tombs that rewrote history books overnight, Egypt's rediscovery was not one moment, but a chain of awakenings. Each spade of earth removed revealed that the ancient past was never silent. It was waiting. Long before the first shovel touched Egyptian soil in the modern age, Egypt existed as a dream shaped by travelers' tales and sacred texts. Greek historians like Herodotus described wonders beyond belief, while medieval scholars repeated fragments of stories without understanding the language carved into stone. Hieroglyphs were seen as mystical symbols rather than a living script. Temples were admired, yet misunderstood. Monuments were measured, yet their purpose remained uncertain. Egypt stood before the world like a sealed tomb whose door could not be opened. The turning point came not from a grand excavation, but from an accident of war. In 1799, during Napoleon's campaign in Egypt, a French officer noticed a dark stone reused in a fort near the town of Rashid, known to Europeans as Rosetta. The slab bore 3 scripts carved with precision: Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic. This artifact, later called the Rosetta Stone, became the key that unlocked a forgotten language. When Jean-Francois Champollion finally deciphered the hieroglyphs in 1822, Egypt spoke again after nearly 14 centuries of silence. Names of kings emerged clearly for the first time. Royal decrees regained their voice. The carvings were no longer symbols of magic alone, but words of law, devotion, and power. Excavations now had meaning, for the stones could finally be read. With language restored, the land itself invited deeper exploration. Early excavators, driven by curiosity and ambition, began to dig at sites long known only by their ruins. At Saqqara, the step pyramid of Djoser rose above the desert like a frozen wave. Beneath it, archaeologists uncovered a vast complex of corridors and chambers lined with reliefs that depicted rituals, festivals, and offerings. These carvings revealed that the earliest pyramids were not isolated tombs, but centers of religious life and cosmic symbolism. The layout reflected the Egyptian belief that the pharaoh's soul ascended to the circumpolar stars, the eternal lights that never set, visible each night above the northern horizon. Far to the south, along the sacred curve of the Nile, excavations at Abydos uncovered royal tombs dating to Egypt's earliest dynasties. Here, names of kings previously unknown were revealed, pushing the timeline of Egyptian history further into the past. Offerings buried alongside these rulers suggested a belief system already complex, already ancient, even at the dawn of recorded history. Abydos also emerged as the spiritual heart of Osiris worship, a god associated with death, renewal, and the fertile cycle of the river itself. The discovery of temples and processional ways there showed how myth and geography were inseparable, woven together by ritual movement across the land. As exploration continued, attention turned to the living spaces of ancient Egypt, not only its tombs. At Deir el-Medina, near the Valley of the Kings, archaeologists uncovered an entire village preserved beneath rubble. This settlement housed the artisans who carved and painted royal tombs. Their homes, tools, and written records revealed something extraordinary: the daily lives of working families. Pay records etched on ostraca described wages paid in grain and beer. Letters spoke of illness, disputes, and devotion to household gods. This was not a civilization of silent slaves, but of skilled workers organized by contracts, rest days, and community bonds. The Valley of the Kings itself transformed understanding of Egyptian burial practices. Earlier assumptions held that pyramids represented the pinnacle of royal tomb construction. Yet excavations revealed a shift in strategy. Hidden within cliffs shaped by ancient geological faults, the tombs were carved deep into limestone, designed to protect royal bodies from thieves. Astronomical symbolism guided their orientation, aligning corridors with solar cycles and underworld myths described in funerary texts painted across the walls. The tombs were not merely graves, but sacred journeys carved in stone. One discovery in this valley would eclipse all others. In 1922, the tomb of a young king named Tutankhamun was found nearly intact. Though Tutankhamun had been a minor ruler in life, his burial transformed global understanding of Egyptian craftsmanship and ritual. Over 5,000 objects filled the chambers: chariots, weapons, furniture, jewelry, and sacred figures crafted with extraordinary skill. The burial revealed the intimate relationship between religion, art, and the afterlife. It also demonstrated how incomplete previous knowledge had been, for this single tomb preserved what countless others had lost to time. Further north, excavations at Amarna uncovered the remains of a short-lived capital founded by Akhenaten, a pharaoh who promoted devotion to a single solar deity, the Aten. The city's layout, art, and written records revealed a dramatic religious and political experiment. Here, naturalistic art replaced rigid royal imagery. Hymns praised sunlight as the source of life. Letters exchanged between Egypt and foreign kings, preserved in clay tablets, revealed diplomacy, marriage alliances, and fragile balances of power across the ancient Near East. These discoveries challenged the idea of Egypt as eternally unchanging, revealing instead a civilization capable of radical transformation. Each excavation reshaped understanding of Egypt's relationship with the natural world. Evidence of copper mining in the Sinai showed organized expeditions guided by astronomical knowledge and seasonal planning. Quarries at Aswan revealed how granite was extracted using wooden wedges and water expansion, techniques requiring deep knowledge of material science. Nilometers carved into riverbanks recorded flood levels with precision, proving that Egypt's prosperity depended on careful observation of nature's cycles. By the time the sands yielded workers' villages near Giza, the greatest myth of all was undone. The pyramids were not built by enslaved masses, but by organized labor forces housed, fed, and honored for their work. Skeletons bore signs of healed injuries, evidence of medical care. Tombs for workers lay near the monuments they built, inscribed with pride. These discoveries restored dignity to those long forgotten beneath the weight of legend. As the earth opened, Egypt emerged not as a land of mystery alone, but as a civilization of intellect, devotion, and human resilience. The excavations did more than uncover ruins. They restored voices, corrected myths, and revealed a society bound together by belief in harmony between earth, sky, and the eternal flow of time. The story was only beginning, for deeper chambers still waited below, and more truths remained buried beneath the ancient sands. As excavations continued deeper into Egypt's soil, another truth slowly revealed itself. The ancient land was not only a realm of kings and gods, but a vast archive of scientific knowledge shaped by observation, experimentation, and tradition. The desert, often imagined as empty and lifeless, proved instead to be a guardian of memory. Its dryness preserved papyri, wooden tools, textiles, and even footprints, allowing scholars to reconstruct entire systems of thought once thought lost forever. In the ruins of temple libraries and burial chambers, fragments of medical texts emerged. The Edwin Smith papyrus, discovered in the 19th century, described surgical procedures, trauma diagnosis, and rational treatments based on observation rather than superstition. Injuries were classified carefully, with prognoses that distinguished between conditions that could be treated, those that might be fought against, and those that were beyond help. This discovery challenged the assumption that ancient medicine relied solely on magic. Instead, it revealed a disciplined approach grounded in anatomical understanding accumulated through generations of practice. Nearby, the Ebers papyrus revealed a different dimension of healing. Here, herbal remedies, spells, and prayers coexisted within the same text. Excavations thus revealed that Egyptian science did not reject spirituality, nor did belief erase reason. The two flowed together like the Nile itself, each strengthening the other. Healing was not only a physical act, but a restoration of cosmic balance, known as ma'at, the principle of order that governed both the universe and human society. Astronomy, too, emerged from the earth with renewed clarity. Temple ceilings uncovered at Dendera and Karnak displayed star charts, decans, and zodiacal figures arranged with mathematical precision. These were not decorations alone, but tools for measuring time. The rising of Sirius, known to the Egyptians as Sopdet, marked the coming of the annual Nile flood. Excavations confirmed that temples and pyramids were aligned with solar events, equinoxes, and solstices. Corridors were angled so that shafts of sunlight would illuminate sacred chambers on specific days, merging architecture with celestial cycles. At Abu Simbel, the great temple of Ramses II demonstrated this mastery of cosmic design. Twice each year, sunlight penetrated the sanctuary to illuminate statues of the gods within, leaving one figure in shadow, a symbolic reminder of divine hierarchy. When modern engineers relocated the temple stone by stone to save it from flooding, the ancient alignment was preserved, confirming the extraordinary precision achieved more than 3,000 years earlier. Beyond temples and tombs, excavations along trade routes revealed Egypt's connection to a wider world. At ports along the Red Sea, such as Wadi al-Jarf, archaeologists uncovered papyri belonging to an official named Mirror. These texts described the transportation of limestone blocks from Tura to Giza during the reign of Khufu. The records detailed labor organization, supply distribution, and daily logistics. For the first time, the construction of the Great Pyramid was documented not through legend, but through first-hand accounts written by those who lived the process. Further excavations revealed trade goods from distant lands: cedar wood from Lebanon, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, incense from Punt, and copper from Sinai. Egypt was not isolated, but deeply woven into international networks. The Nile served as both artery and spine, enabling movement of goods, people, and ideas across vast distances. Harbors, warehouses, and ship remains discovered along its banks confirm the sophistication of Egyptian engineering and navigation. Religious understanding also deepened through excavation. In temple reliefs once buried beneath collapsed walls, rituals long misunderstood became clearer. Scenes depicted the daily care of divine statues, including washing, clothing, and offering food. These acts were not symbolic alone, but believed to sustain the gods themselves, ensuring harmony throughout the land. Excavated inscriptions revealed that priests followed strict schedules based on lunar calendars, purification rites, and astronomical observation. The cult of the dead, central to Egyptian belief, also gained new clarity. Tomb paintings, once hidden beneath layers of debris, showed scenes of agriculture, fishing, music, and celebration. These were not depictions of life as it was, but as it was hoped to continue eternally. Excavations revealed that the afterlife was imagined not as an abstract realm, but as a perfected version of the Nile Valley itself, where fields were fertile, families reunited, and labor transformed into joy. Perhaps most revealing were the discoveries related to ordinary individuals whose names history had forgotten. Simple burials uncovered at sites like El Lahin and Elephantine showed care and dignity afforded even to non-elites. Amulets placed near the heart, pottery vessels filled with food, and modest inscriptions spoke of personal devotion and hope. These finds dismantled the myth that Egyptian religion served only the powerful. Belief flowed through every layer of society. The sands also preserved evidence of crisis and adaptation. Excavations revealed layers of abandonment at certain sites corresponding to periods of drought or political instability. Inscriptions recorded low Nile floods, famine, and social unrest. Yet alongside these records were signs of recovery: rebuilt temples, restored irrigation systems, and renewed artistic styles. Egypt's longevity emerged not from static perfection, but from resilience and reinvention. One of the most striking revelations came from excavations of reused monuments. Stones carved with the names of earlier kings were found embedded within later structures, their inscriptions deliberately erased or overwritten. This practice revealed political struggle, memory control, and the fragility of legacy. Pharaohs did not merely rule the living. They competed with the dead for remembrance. Excavation exposed history as a living battleground where power extended even into the past. As archaeologists refined their methods, excavation itself transformed from treasure hunting into science. Careful recording, stratigraphy, and preservation replaced reckless digging. Each grain of sand became evidence. Each broken shard became a clue. Through this discipline, Egypt's story grew richer, more nuanced, and profoundly human. By the early 20th century, the cumulative impact of these discoveries had changed the world's understanding of ancient Egypt forever. The civilization once imagined as distant and unknowable now appeared intimate and intelligible. Its people worried about food, health, family, and faith. They watched the stars, measured the river, and built monuments not only for glory, but for meaning. Yet for all that had been revealed, Egypt remained vast and incomplete. Beneath untouched mounds and unexcavated valleys, more truth still slept. The land had given much, but not all. Like the Nile and flood, knowledge had risen, but its full course had not yet been traced. The story of excavation was far from finished, and the silence beneath the sands still held secrets waiting patiently for their moment to return to light. As the 20th century progressed, excavations in Egypt entered a new and more reflective age, one in which the past was approached not as a treasure chest to be emptied, but as a living inheritance to be understood and protected. The desert still concealed wonders, yet the hands that uncovered them now moved with greater care, aware that every discovery carried responsibility as well as revelation. In the western desert, far from the familiar banks of the Nile, archaeologists uncovered traces of a world older than dynasties themselves. At Nabta Playa, stone circles and alignments emerged from the sand, dating back thousands of years before the pyramids. These structures were oriented toward celestial events, particularly the rising of certain stars and the summer solstice. The discoveries revealed that astronomical observation in Egypt did not begin with pharaohs, but with pastoral communities who watched the sky to predict seasonal rains. These findings reshaped understanding of how cosmic awareness shaped Egyptian culture from its deepest roots. In the oases scattered across the desert, excavations revealed agricultural systems sustained by underground water channels and carefully managed wells. These remote settlements showed that Egyptian ingenuity extended far beyond the river valley. Even in harsh environments, communities adapted through engineering, cooperation, and environmental knowledge. Pottery styles, burial customs, and inscriptions found in these regions demonstrated cultural exchange between Egypt and neighboring lands, further dissolving the illusion of isolation. Within the great temples, renewed study of reliefs and inscriptions brought forgotten rituals back into clarity. At Karnak, layers of construction revealed centuries of expansion, alteration, and restoration. Each pharaoh left a mark, yet none erased the presence of those who came before entirely. Excavations uncovered foundation deposits buried beneath pylons and sanctuaries, containing miniature tools, figurines, and inscriptions offered to the gods at the moment of construction. These objects revealed a belief that every building possessed a sacred birth, a moment when divine favor was anchored into stone. In Luxor Temple, reliefs depicting the Opet festival gained new meaning through archaeological context. The procession between Karnak and Luxor, once known only through art, became vivid through the discovery of avenues lined with sphinx and rest stations. The festival symbolized renewal of kingship and cosmic order, linking the pharaoh with the gods and the people with the rhythm of the universe. Excavation transformed ceremony from image into experience. Perhaps no site demonstrated the fragility of history more clearly than the caches of royal mummies discovered at Deir el-Bahri and the Valley of the Kings. These hidden chambers contained rulers moved and reburied by ancient priests in times of crisis to protect them from tomb robbers. Labels on linen wrappings recorded names, reigns, and acts of restoration. These discoveries revealed reverence for the past even during decline. The dead were not abandoned, but guarded, repaired, and remembered. Scientific advances allowed excavations to speak in new ways. Analysis of pollen trapped in ancient soil revealed changing climates and agricultural practices. Examination of animal remains clarified diets and seasonal patterns. Study of human skeletons showed evidence of labor, disease, and longevity. These silent witnesses transformed abstract history into lived reality. Egypt's people emerged not as distant symbols, but as individuals shaped by work, belief, and environment. At Giza, ongoing exploration beneath the plateau uncovered boat pits, ramps, and infrastructure that redefined pyramid construction. The discovery of a dismantled solar boat, preserved in a sealed pit, revealed advanced woodworking techniques and symbolic journeys of the sun god across the sky and underworld. These findings confirmed that the pyramids were not isolated marvels, but parts of a carefully planned sacred landscape connected to solar theology and royal rebirth. Excavations also exposed moments of cultural tension and transition. In Nubia, temples and fortresses showed Egypt's southern expansion and interaction with African kingdoms. Later layers revealed Nubian rulers who became pharaohs themselves, blending traditions and reshaping royal imagery. These discoveries challenged narrow definitions of Egyptian identity, revealing a civilization enriched by diversity and exchange. As the modern world pressed closer, preservation became as crucial as discovery. Rising waters, urban growth, and tourism threatened fragile remains. International efforts emerged to document, restore, and protect monuments. The relocation of Abu Simbel stood as a symbol of global respect for ancient heritage. Excavation no longer ended with exposure, but continued through conservation and study, ensuring that knowledge endured beyond the moment of discovery. Through all these efforts, one truth became unmistakable. Excavations did not merely change dates, names, or theories. They changed perspective. Egypt was no longer a land defined solely by death and monumentality. It was recognized as a civilization deeply engaged with life, balance, and continuity. Its temples mirrored the heavens. Its fields followed the rhythm of the stars and the river. Its people sought harmony between the seen and unseen worlds. The sands that once concealed Egypt's story had not done so out of malice, but out of patience. They waited for a time when the past could be approached with humility rather than conquest. Each excavation became a conversation across millennia, guided by fragments of stone, ink, and bone. Through these fragments, Egypt spoke again, not loudly, but with enduring clarity. And still, much remains hidden. Beneath untouched ground and unexplored valleys, future revelations wait in silence. The story of Egypt is not complete, nor will it ever truly be finished. Like the Nile's eternal cycle, understanding flows forward, fed by the past and carried into the future. The excavations that changed understanding did more than uncover history. They reminded humanity that memory, once buried, can rise again, carrying wisdom shaped by time itself. If these ancient voices touched your heart today, please consider subscribing to Ancient Epics and ringing the bell so you never miss the next forgotten tale. Thanks for watching.